Okay, x squared plus 6x plus 8. This is a polynomial of this form, also known as a quadratic. All right, and since a equals 1, in this case, we use the big X method. So I need to find two numbers that add up to 6 and multiply to give me 8. Okay, so those two numbers are 2 and 4. So the polynomial simply factors into the product of two binomials, x plus 2, and then x plus 4. And that's all there is to it. You're done then. If you want to check your answer, simply FOIL and simplify, and it should take you back to what you originally started with. All right, once again, we have ax squared plus bx plus c, this type of polynomial. A equals 1, so we use the big X method. And I need to find two numbers that add up to -7, multiply to give me 12. That's going to be -3 and -4. So then the polynomial factors into the product of two binomials, x minus 3 and x minus 4. Done. ax squared plus bx plus c. A equals 1, so I use the big X method. Got to find two numbers that add up to 4, multiply to give me -5. That would be -1 and 5. So the polynomial factors into the product of two binomials, x minus 1 times x plus 5. Done. For the next one, we have ax squared plus bx plus c. All right, we have that polynomial. A equals 1, so I use the big X method. Two numbers that add up to 4, multiply to give me 3. That's 1 and 3. So I have x plus 1 times x plus 3. All right, so if x plus 1 is equal to 0, and x plus 3 is equal to 0. So I subtract 1. X is equal to -1. X is equal to -3. All right. Factor. Okay. First thing we're going to do here is factor out the 2. You should always ask yourself if you could pull out any values or variables from all the terms. I could pull out a 2 in this case. So I have x squared minus x minus 2. All right, then on this portion here, I'm going to apply the big X method. To find two numbers that add up to -1, multiply to give me -2. That would be 1 and -2. So I have 2, which is what I started out with here. And then this polynomial factors into the product of two binomials, x plus 1 and x minus 2. And we're done. That's all there is to it. For the next one, okay, I can't factor anything out of these three terms. So in this case, the a value is not equal to 1, and we're going to use the big X method, just as we did before, but we also use grouping. So big X method with grouping. All right, so I need to find two numbers that add up to -1, but multiply to give me not just -1, but 6 times -1. All right. So what two numbers work? That's going to be 2 and -3. So I get 6x squared, and the middle term factors into, or breaks down into those two values, plus 2x minus 3x, and then I have minus 1. All right, so I need to group the first two terms and the last two terms. From the first two terms, I'm going to factor out a 2x, and I'm left with 3x plus 1. And now the second group, I could factor out a -1, leaving me with 3x plus 1. All right, notice I have two terms now, and they both share 3x plus 1 in common. So I could factor out 3x plus 1, and I'm left with 2x minus 1. Done. All right, for the next one, factor. All right, always try to factor out a number or variables from the expression if you can. In this case, we could factor out as 6. So we're left with x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0. All right, could apply big X to the trinomial. I need to find two numbers that add up to 1, multiply to give me negative 6. What two numbers work? Negative 2 and 3. So I have 6 times x minus 2 times x plus 3 equals 0. Okay, now we set all the factors equal to 0. 6 is equal to 0. Does that mean anything? Does that help you find any value of x? No, so you don't even need to do that. All right, but x minus 2 equals 0, and x plus 3 equals 0. So I have plus 2, x equals 2, subtract 3, x equals negative 3. All right, it's easy as that. Next one, factor, x squared minus 64. Okay, notice that with 64, we could rewrite that as a square. All right, and so now I have a difference of squares, and a difference of squares factors into x plus 8 times x minus 8. All right, one is plus, the other is minus. Doesn't matter what order you go in. All right, for the next one, I'm going to have to use big X method here. Find two numbers that add up to 14, multiply to give me 49. That would be 7 and 7. So it factors into x plus 7 times x plus 7. Or I could condense the solution into x plus 7 squared. Done. Next one, I have x squared minus 9. 9 I can rewrite as a square, as 3 squared. So now I have a difference of squares, x plus 3, x minus 3. All right, in this one I'm not just factoring, I'm also solving. So I set x plus 3 equal to 0 and x minus 3 equal to 0. So I subtract 3, x is equal to negative 3, add 3, and x is equal to positive 3. Done. All right, for this one, let's see what we can do. I could factor out a 5 to start with. Okay, and then I can rewrite 9 as a square, and then apply the difference of squares factoring method. Here we go. Okay, so now I could set 5 equal to 0. That's not going to do anything, but I set x minus 3 equal to 0 and x plus 3 equal to 0. Alrighty. So x is equal to 3 and x is equal to negative 3. All right, for the next one, we have 4 terms. All right, now can we factor anything out? No, we can't. So if you have 4 terms, you want to think about grouping then. Group the first 2, group the last 2. And let's see, I could factor out x squared here, leaving me with x plus 2. And in the second group, I could factor out a 3, leaving me with x plus 2. Okay, so from the 2 terms here, I have x plus 2 as a common factor. Pull that out. And then what am I left with? X squared plus 3. Done. All right, next one, factor. Let's see. I have 3 times, I could pull out x as well. So 3x times x squared minus 1. Okay, yeah. And then I could rewrite 1 as a square. All right, 1 squared is the same thing as 1. And I could apply the difference of squares factoring method. X plus 1 times x minus 1. Done. Okay. 14, let's see here. Okay, what can I factor out from all 3 terms? A 4 and an x. What's left over? X squared minus 8x. Oh, sorry, that's not 8. That's 6. Okay, 6. And then the third term is 8. Okay, and so now I need to find 2 numbers that add up to negative 6, multiply to give me 8. That would be negative 2 and negative 4. So I have 4x times x minus 2 times x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, in this case, if I set 4x equal to 0, I'm solving for x, so x is equal to 0. And then x minus 2 equals 0. So x is equal to 2. And I have x minus 4 equals 0. So x is equal to 4. Done. All right, getting into review now. Write the polynomial in standard form. So start with the highest exponent, then go in descending order. Okay, the degree is the highest exponent. Leading coefficient is the number in front of the variable at the highest exponent. And then the classification, how many terms does this polynomial have? It has 3 terms, so it's called a trinomial. All right, for 16, write your answer using only positive exponents. Okay, so I have 5 to the first power, s to the negative 2 power. Then the whole thing is raised to the negative 3 power. So what do? You're multiplying exponents. 1 times negative 3, and then negative 2 times negative 3. So I end up with 5 to the negative 3 power, and then s to the 6 power. The 5 to the negative 3 power, it goes to the denominator position, and then it becomes a positive exponent. Then I have 125 on the bottom. That's all we could do. Done. Write the equation line that passes through the given points. Okay, so we have to use the slope formula here. Slope formula, y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. Rise over run. So I have the slope is 5 minus negative 1 over 1 minus 4. So I get 5 minus negative 1 is 6. 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So I get negative 2. Okay? So I have y equals negative 2x plus b. And now to figure out b, I plug in either point, your choice. So I'm going to plug in the first point, 5, negative 2 times x, which is 1, plus b. So b is equal to 7. So I have y is equal to negative 2x plus 7. Done. Graph the linear function. All right, this is function notation. That's the same thing as y. All right. So let's see, where do I start off? This is my y-intercept. Start off at negative 1. And then I apply my slope up 3 over 2. Oops, that's not 2. Over 2. Up 3 over 2, up 3 over 2. Down 3, back 2. Down 3, back 2. Alrighty. And second to the last problem, we need to isolate x. So we're going to add 8. Then I have 2 is less than x over 3. Multiply by 3 both sides. So I have 6 is less than x. So I get x is greater than 6. Done. And for the next one, let's combine like terms on each side first before we move to other sides of the equation. So I have 4x minus 2 is equal to 4 plus 4x. Okay. And then from there, I'm going to start moving things around. I'm going to subtract 4x here. Okay, oh, the x's cancel out. So I'm left with negative 2 equals 4. What does this mean? Well, is the equality true? No, it's false. And if that's the case, then that means there's no solution. And here's the symbol for that. All right, if you understood every problem to this review, then you are ready for the exam.